What is going on out there, everybody? We're back. Episode 11 of the All Around Sports Podcast with your host, Jim McAllister. We're back, baby. A week, refreshed, rewind, great vacation, and now we're back here with you. The only difference is I have a new Mets hat and I have a little bit of a cold. But besides that, we're ready to rock, baby. Let's talk about the week that was, right? Shall we? Yes, we shall. A lot happened last week. A lot happened when we were gone. You know, the first thing we talk about on this show is the one thing we always talk about on this show at the very first part of the show, and that is our beloved New York Mets. Rough week. You know, I was hoping for a 7-3 road trip. We got a 4-6 road trip. And again, I don't think that's good enough, especially now with the emergence of San Francisco. They're now the dark horse. And I think that the way things are going and the way things are kind of progressing, I mean, Atlanta's not, they're going to right the ship at some point. Like, they're not going to be as bad as they've been. And thankfully, you know what, they have been losing, that, you know, the Mets really are kind of locked into a three-team race for one spot now. Let's count San Diego and Arizona out of it at this point. They're gone. I mean, they're not going back. They're way ahead of the field now. They're 13 games over. I think they're going to fight for the top two spots. Let them all fight each other and figure all that out. But right now, I think the third wild card spot's the only one up for grabs at this point. And the Mets have as good of a shot as anybody, but they got to hit. And if they don't hit, they're not going to win. And their bullpen's not strong enough. Their starting pitching's okay, but it's not great. But if they don't hit, they're not going to win. And that's the bottom line, as my boy Stone Cold Steve Austin once said. Pete Alonso's a problem. He's been a problem all season, and it's just rearing its ugly head at the wrong time. Again, I mean, you know, I've talked about this on the show before. This contract is hanging over this guy's head to the point where it's affecting him on the field. And it's now to the point where, like, you need to just kind of play the last 2 months of the season without thinking about getting a contract and try to help your team win if winning's important to you. And I think for Alonso it is. So he needs to figure out some way to kind of carry this team for a little while. And if he doesn't, then they're going to be in a huge, huge, huge hole. Because Jesse Winker's not going to carry them. Jeff McNeil's not going to carry them. Lindor's been amazing. I mean, he's been literally the MVP of the team. If not, you know, depending on how far the Mets go, he might be the MVP of the league the way he's played. Nimmo's struggling. Alvarez has struggled. Vientos, you don't know what's going on with him now. He's day-to-day with an ankle. Iglesias has kind of cooled off a little bit. McNeil got hot in the beginning, and now he's not where he should be. And, you know, JD Martinez is starting to struggle a little bit. He's not where he should be. And, again, the albatross is Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso has been a huge problem. And I hope, you know, as a Met fan and somebody that loves the team as much as I do, I hope that he figures it out. But I don't know at this point. I don't know if he's going to figure it out. And that's my biggest concern. And I hope that, you know, they figure out a way to, you know, these 9 games that they're home. I think they should go 7-2. I mean, I've heard 6-3 and all that stuff. No, 7-2. You know, there's no reason why they can't sweep the A's. There's no reason why they can't sweep the Marlins and win 2 out of 3, or even, you know, lose a series against Baltimore. Like, I think 7-2 is the number because, again, like, San Francisco's not going away. And Atlanta's, you know, they're getting healthy now. Harris is back. I mean, Sale's pitched amazing. I don't know if anybody watched the game on Monday night with Snell and Sale. Oh, my gosh. If you like baseball and you like watching pitchers go and perform, that was a heck of a game to watch. It was well worth it. Well worth staying up, and it was very, very well played baseball game. So we got that. Yankees are, you know, they're flying. They're starting to figure it out now. I know they, you know, listen, don't take a lot of credit or a lot of shame in losing to the White Sox. I know they lost so many games in a row and everything, but you got to remember something. It's different when teams play the Yankees. It's like their World Series, especially really bad teams. They get up for those kind of games. So it's hard for sometimes you're playing a less than team to match that energy. And, dude, you're going to get beat every once in a while like that. It's baseball. It's the law of averages. You know, it's what it is. So as a Yankee fan, I wouldn't be so upset about that. But got to go right the ship tonight and go, win a game and see how that goes. But yeah, I mean, listen, Judge has 42 home runs. He's, established himself obviously as one of the better players in the league. I've never taken that away from him. I think he's on his way to winning an MVP. And I think, obviously with Soto in the lineup, I think that helps him tremendously. His big test is, again, October. Let's be real about something. Yankees are going to be there in October, regardless of how they finish and what happens, right? Let's say I don't really think it's really up for debate anymore in regards to like the American League. I think I think you're going to have Houston. You're going to have Seattle as a wild card team, I feel. You'll have Baltimore and the Yankees, okay? You'll have Minnesota and I don't know, like you'll have whatever the sixth team is. You can, it could be Boston. It could be, who knows, Cleveland is another team. But out of those teams, I think the Yankees are the best team. I don't think the Astros, they've played a lot better. Don't get me wrong. They're still not the Astros they were last year. Okay? They're not. And there's no reason for the Yankees not to reach a World Series with the way they're built. And if they're going to hit like they've been hitting, sky's the limit for that team. I think they have, obviously, the ace in Cole. Don't sleep on Marcus Stroman, okay? I know he's had a little bit of a rough patch the last, few starts or whatever, but I think he's a big game pitcher, and I think when the game means the most, he's going to really, really pitch well. Rodon stinks. Cortez isn't very good. And Luis Gil, he's on an innings limit, so, would it be, the smartest thing to move Gil to the bullpen, make him your closer to try to, limit his innings? I think that's on the table. And, anything can be better than Clay Holmes at this point. Clay Holmes looked like 45 pitches to get out of an inning. That's a lot of pitches, man. That puts you down for, a good 2 or 3 days. So, got to watch that stuff. It's not good. And the Phils. The Phillies are, again, it's more of a dog day thing with them. They have nothing to play for right now. They'll start ramping it back up again once September hits. I think more mid-September, you'll start to see the Phillies start hitting their stride again when they know that, really, really important games are coming. There's nobody to challenge them. The division's been won now since, I think, May with them. So, but yeah, you don't want to lose it. But at the same time, they have some less than opponents coming up. They'll be fine. Not worried about that. So yeah, we had that. Vacation was amazing. Had a wonderful time. Got to watch a lot of cool things, go to a lot of cool places, do a lot of cool things, and really just enjoyed my downtime with my family, which, guys, if you know anything about me and anything about this show, my family means more to me than anything. And being able to just kind of spend, the time that I spent down there with them it's a blessing. It's a blessing, it's a gift, and it's something that I cherish literally for the rest of my life. So it was phenomenal. It'll always be phenomenal. And, anytime I get the chance to spend with them is, the time I love the most. And the time I get to spend with all you guys, the all-around army. I love you guys. I do. So, yeah, it was great. Another thing happened on vacation. Jalen Brunson named the captain of the New York Knicks. I hope he wears the little C on his jersey. That's just, me being me. I love that kind of stuff. But listen, he's the leader of the team. It's not going to, have a win or a loss attached to it. He's the captain, and he should be because, again, leader of the team, leader of that group. He's, established himself as a, top-tier player in the NBA. Him doing what he did with the contract was amazing because now it gives the Knicks some financial flexibility. You saw how they signed OG Anunoby. They have Mikal Bridges now. This is about as good of a Knicks team as I've ever seen. And I've been a Knicks fan a long time. We're going back as, the Ewing, Starks, Oakley Knicks that, I fell in love with as a kid. And they're probably better than them. So let's hope that, constitutes as, winning a championship one of these days. That would be amazing. But we'll see what happens. All right, guys, let's talk to you about our sponsors. Jump Shot Gym, a one-of-a-kind training basketball facility located in Hillsborough, New Jersey. 8 hoops and the Dr. Dish shooting machines. Get the reps you need to build a consistent jump shot. Visit jumpshotgym.com. One more time, jumpshotgym.com. See, I'm losing it. It's the cold. I did it again. We're going to do this one more time. For shooting clinics, camps, and parties. I'm telling you, it's the cold. So, I'm sorry. And Brazino Home Improvements. Are you looking to have a repair for your home or your business or any general contract you need? Contact Brazino Home Improvement at 609-581-5848. 609-581-5848. Contact me if you want to sponsor the show, you want to come on the show, you want to advertise with us. jm14productions at gmail.com. Once again, jm14productions at gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram at jm14 all around pod. That is jm14 all around pod. On the other side, we talk to Robin. Nick Rosselli joins the show. We're going to talk some AFC West preview. All right, guys, we are back here on the All Around, and it is that time once again to welcome in my co-host, back fresh from our lovely vacation, back in the saddle again, talking AFC West, and I know my man's got some stuff to say about his Phils. My man, Nick Rosselli. Nick, what's up, my man?
What's up? Much needed vacation too.
Oh my gosh, dude. Listen, I think the highlight of vacation was watching you guys play basketball the whole time and just cooking dudes on the court the whole time. It was, listen, don't go down there and expect to get, like ran, because I'm telling you right now, between Nick and Brett and my nephew Tehran, y'all would have gotten ran for real. All right, so we come back to a lot of craziness, I guess. The Phils are struggling a little bit, man.
Yeah, they don't look good at all. I mean, they went to their West trip and they won 4 games out of 10. They beat the Dodgers in the series. Only won one against the Diamondbacks, which I was hoping they won at least 2, but whatever.
I was hoping, Nick, to be honest, they would get the Sunday game, because the way the Mets have been, like the Mets kind of needed that game for them, and for them to get walloped like that, it wasn't good.
The Padres are looking good too. They won 17 of 20, I think.
Listen, I think the Padres and the Diamondbacks, and I said this on the open, they're going to run away with the top 2 spots. Right now, it's three teams for one spot. It's the Braves, it's the Mets, and it's the Giants. Don't sleep on the Giants. Did you happen to watch any of the game last night between Atlanta and San Francisco, or no?
I didn't, but I knew Sale and Snell had a really good
pitchers duel, bro. Like that was legit. Like those two guys were just going at it. Listen, as a baseball fan, it was cool. But listen, I needed the Giants to win at least that game. But whatever, it is what it is. All right, dude, let's get into the AFC West, brother. Let's do it. We talked about this, just little peek behind the curtain here. We discussed this a lot on vacation, kind of like what we were going to talk about and kind of some things we were going to discuss. And the AFC West was kind of the big topic of discussion on vacation. So much so that other people around were starting to jump in. It was pretty cool. So let's just get at it right now. The champs. Listen, they're the reigning, defending world champions until somebody beats them. And I'm going to be honest with you. Between obviously full disclosure, my son Logan is a diehard, dyed-in-the-wool Kansas City Chiefs fan. So I probably know more Chiefs football than I want to. I'm rooting for the three-peat, dude. I've never seen it. I've never seen it in my lifetime. And honestly, I think it's the only way that Mahomes can surpass Brady.
Yeah, the Chiefs, they're going to cruise during the season. That's obvious. They're going to win the division, most likely. That's obvious, barring any bad injuries. But if they get to the playoffs, they win, get it. I actually want them to face a wild card team. I don't want them to get a bye, because I feel like facing a wild card team is going to help them cruise more. And then you get the harder teams through the end. I think they make the Super Bowl. I do.
I'm rooting for it again. I mean, I want to see it. And listen, I'm just going to be full disclosure again. Like when we do our prediction show, I am picking the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. I want to see the three-peat. Whether it happens or not, great. But I am going to pick. I'm with you. I don't know if the Super Bowl or like the road to the Super Bowl goes through Kansas City. I mean, they shown last year that they can go on the road and win, and that was a big bugaboo with Mahomes for all those years. Can he go on the road? He showed that. Right now, as it looks, I do kind of have Kansas City as the 1 seed, but it wouldn't surprise me if a team like Cincinnati or Baltimore, or one of those teams, even the Jets, one of those tough upper tier teams. I think those teams can take that 1 seed from them. But as it stands right now, I like the Chiefs as the 1 seed, and throw Houston in that equation too. I don't want to leave them out.
Yeah, I would personally probably have the Ravens 1 seed, or the Bengals. Whoever wins that division, I think, gets the 1 seed. And I had the Chiefs at 2 or 3, which the Chiefs could easily get the 1 seed. I mean, it's right there. But, get the 2-3 seed, face the easier wildcard team, and then, face someone like the Texans or the Jets or someone like that. And then you follow the path and get back to Super Bowl. I wouldn't mind them winning the Super Bowl. It depends what team they're facing.
Sure.
Like if it's the Eagles,
Of course.
obviously,
Oh, well, listen,
yeah.
it goes without saying. Like, listen, you kind of, you owe them one. So I get it. Believe me, I totally understand.
Or like the Pack. I would like to see the Packers in the Super Bowl. Like
Yeah,
and
listen,
win.
they're pretty good.
I would love to see it.
Yeah, they're pretty good, man. Jordan Love's, dude, don't sleep on Jordan Love. I think the Chiefs are going to go back. I think that they're better this year than they were last year. I know the Hollywood Brown injury now in the preseason is going to, set them back a little bit, but he'll be right by the time it matters. I think the kid they drafted, the wide receiver, gosh, it's gonna drive me crazy. I forgot his name, but I've watched some of
Xavier
the
Worthy.
highlights. Yes, Worthy. He's gonna be a game changer. That kid. He's the kind of kid that Mahomes. It's like another Tyreek Hill. The kid's got just speed to burn. Like he's just fast and he can catch, and he gives that other element of the deep threat down the field to Mahomes, which they didn't have last year. I mean, how many times they threw the ball to Valdez-Scantling last year and he dropped it? But then the one he needed, he caught.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
unbelievable.
Yep.
It's unbelievable. I love the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are gonna get back. Like I said, I'm rooting for the three-peat. I really hope it happens, and it's hard not to root for Patrick Mahomes. And I would love to see him kind of come into and he's there now in the greatest debate. I mean, he really is. He's already won what, three? He's already won. He lost one, but you watch this guy and how he performs day in day out. The numbers he's going to put up at the end, it's going to be all there. He's right now for me in the top five. I'll give him that. And I think the only way you can make the argument that he beats Brady is if he does something nobody's ever done. So if he can get three in a row in this era, to me, that kind of is like the trump card, like that's okay, like, yeah, Brady's won all these Super Bowls. Yeah, Brady's been to so many Super Bowls. Yeah, he did it with two teams, blah, blah, blah. Nobody's ever won three in a row. And the closest is way before your time. It was the 49ers in the late 80s. So they had the closest opportunity to do that. And you know what team stopped them?
What team?
The New York Football Giants, baby. I still think Joe Montana was dead on the field. I really do. As a 10-year-old, I'm like, he's dead. He's dead.
Really?
All right, so we both love the Chiefs. All right, so what's your feeling on the upstart Chargers? What's your feeling with Harbaugh and now that whole dynamic?
I don't think the Chargers are as bad as people think. I don't think they're a playoff team, but I see people putting them really low. But I think they're a 6 to 8 win team. I think Herbert does fine. I think their offense is all right. I think their defense is a little rough, and I think that stops them a little bit. I think they'll compete for the second spot in the division. But I'm not expecting much from them. I just want to see Herbert, good year from him and development. And I think it's like more of a rebuild year. It's not really a rebuild, but just a year to take that next step.
I agree with you. And I agree with you about the fact that I still think they're a year away. I do. I don't think they're going to be as good as people think. I don't think they're going to be as bad as people think either. Because you know what? Harbaugh himself is going to win you a game or two. Herbert, with his talent, if he stays healthy, is going to win you a game or two. And I agree with you on the defense. The defense isn't very good. And you know what? Give Harbaugh a year. Get him to adjust back to the NFL style. Start drafting some of his own players, and I think all that is going to change. I think you give them at least 1 year to kind of get the kinks out, and I think the following year they take that next big leap forward where I think they can compete for a division.
If I would agree with everything that you said.
Yeah. What's your feeling on Denver? Because I want to talk to you about Denver. I watched them a little bit on what you call it on Sunday.
Denver is always a team that I just really don't know about, and I I don't think they're that bad either. I really don't. I actually like Bo Nix. He actually looked pretty decent in the preseason, and
I'm
I
not
think
going to
that
get myself excited about the preseason, but I'm going to tell you something. I watched a lot of highlights of Bo Nix in that game. Bo Nix like he can play,
he
bro.
looked good.
He
Yeah,
did. He did. He absolutely did.
and I saw that too. I actually think after seeing that, they might win a game or two more than I thought. I think they're same as the Chargers, 6 to 8
I agree.
range. Uh, and if Bo Nix just has a good year, I think that franchise should be happy about everything because if they can get a quarterback that's good for their future, you build their team around him, they're gonna look good.
Low key prediction right now: Bo Nix wins Offensive Rookie of the Year.
That's a
Yeah,
I actually
strong.
could see it though. Yeah.
listen, he's got the right coach. And you know what? I'm not the biggest Sean Payton fan, but listen, the guy can coach offense. We both
Yeah,
know that.
definitely.
I don't think he's a very good game manager at all. I just don't think he knows how to kind of do all of that. I know he's won a Super Bowl, but you look back on that '09 Saints team, a lot of it was just Drew Brees and Reggie Bush and Michael Thomas and not Marcus Colston was the guy. It wasn't Mike, but those type of German Shockey was in that team as well. But again, they played a Colts team that I felt was they were completely like it was like two bad coaches going after it, and I don't think it was a very good game. But again, I'm not the biggest Sean Payton fan. Again, like he can definitely coach up quarterbacks. We've seen that before, but as far as like getting a team to kind of buy into what he's trying to do, I don't see it. It's just I don't I've never been a big Sean, like I've said it a few times. Even when he was back with the Giants, I wasn't a big fan of him. That was 20 something years ago. All right, dude. This brings me to I'm telling you right now, I am so high on this team to the point where I'm going to say it right now. I'm picking them to make the playoffs because I love what's going on out there. And that is the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm huge on the Raiders this year. I think they're going to be the surprise team in the NFL this year. That's how good I think they're going to be. I'm not saying they're going to win 11 or 12 or 13 games. I don't think they're going to be that good, but they won 10. I'm telling you right now, they're going to win 10 because they got the right attitude. They got the right coach in Pierce. They got a player in Devontae Adams who's a star. He's a star. And you know what? They finally have a guy, and I like Gardner Minshew a lot. I think he's never got an opportunity to really have a full season as a starter. I'm hoping he wins that job because I'm going to tell you right now, if he does, I think they go places. And that defense is going to be prepared. That defense is going to be very good. Max Crosby is going to be, again, low key candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. That's how good I think he is. I think they all respond to Antonio Pierce, and I think Davis made the right move by keeping him. With all that being said, and all that good karma they got built in Las Vegas, I'm telling you right now, do not sleep on the Raiders.
Yeah, the Raiders. I like their offense a lot. I actually like their tight end Brock Bowers.
Yeah,
I
huge.
really like him. I
God,
think he takes a step in the next direction.
I'm a
Um,
huge Brock Bowers fan. I love him at
yeah,
Georgia. He could have came out a year ago and probably would have been a top 10 pick. And I mean, it's a shame how the rules work, but I love Brock Bowers. You're right on there.
yeah, he's really good. I like him. I personally would have them in the same range as the other teams. I could see where you're coming from. 10-win team and stuff because it wouldn't surprise me as much as you know fans would react to it.
You
Uh,
got to look at their schedule. I mean, that's kind of where I'm going with this. Like, their schedule kind of plays into them getting to 10 wins. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, their defense is always a tough defense. They have a good head coach, and I could see them around there. I would put them a little lower, like 7 to 8, 9, maybe in that range. I think it depends how their season starts, though. If
Okay.
it starts slower, I think they start tanking a little bit and maybe go for a quarterback in the draft. They look for their future. But if they start pretty good, 4-2, 5-win team, and through the first 8 weeks, then I think 10 wins is easily in the reach.
I'll tell you what I was sold on the Raiders. I'll tell you the exact moment when I was sold on it. It happened last season. You remember the game where they played Kansas City in Kansas City?
Was that Christmas?
It was somewhere around Christmas. It was late in the season. I think it was like a Saturday game. One of those. It was
Yeah,
like one of those like
it
weird.
was around there. Yeah,
It was like a weird time. But I remember it was like a
yeah,
standalone game, and I was watching the game with Logan. And I just remember watching that team, and they didn't really have anything. I mean, they had Aiden O'Connell as their quarterback. The defense was, but I just watched how that team responded to Pierce and watch how hard they played. And they outplayed Kansas City that day. They were the better team, and they made Mahomes frustrated. That's hard to do. And if you can get that guy flustered, that tells me that you're on to something.
yeah. True, exactly. I think they're always it's going to be a tough team to beat throughout this season. I think the Chiefs struggle. The Chiefs always struggle against sometimes their interdivision teams, and I
Yes,
think they
yes,
could
they
take
do.
one against the Chiefs easily.
I
And
think
then
they
you look
split.
at
Yeah,
yeah, and then you look at the rest of their schedule. A lot of AFC games, of course, but I think they're tough enough to beat some of those higher teams. Like I don't know exactly who they play, but if they play
right.
like any of the AFC East teams, I think they could easily take a game against them.
I do think they play the Jets. I could be wrong, but I do think they do play the Jets. Again, because of how the schedule matches up. You match up, with obviously you have 6 games with your division. Okay. Then you have 3 games I'm sorry, 2 games against teams that were the same place as you in your conference. So like, I don't know, I think they finished third. They'd play the third place team in the East, which I think was the Jets. And
Yeah, actually, yeah.
yeah, and then whoever it is, and then they also match up against another team in their conference, like another division, which I'm not sure which division that is, and they
I'm
also
not
match up
sure
with
either.
division in the other conference in the
NFC,
NFC, which
yeah.
which I'm not sure what that is either. So I like the Raiders a lot, and again, just for everything I kind of laid out there, I think they're going to be I don't want to say fantastic. I think that's strong, but I think they're going to be a very, very solid. They remind me a lot of like how Vrabel was with Tennessee in the beginning. You know what I mean? Nobody wanted to play Tennessee. Everybody was afraid, and like, oh, they're just so like that like they're not afraid to like drag you in the mud. You know what I'm saying? And they're going to play those games like that. And I think they're going to be again 10 wins. That's my prediction. 10 wins.
Yeah, and their schedule, they play an easy division. Besides the Chiefs, where take one, you have the
Yeah.
Chargers and Broncos. Anything can happen. I mean, they can win 4 games in the division,
It
and
wouldn't
it's
shock
4 more
me, Nick.
games.
Nick, this wouldn't shock me at all if they went 4-2 in their division. It really
Yeah,
wouldn't.
I wouldn't be surprised either.
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me one bit if they went 4-2 in their division. All right, dude. Listen, now we get to the NFC. Now we're really starting to kind of get somewhere. Now we're gonna switch gears and go to the other side of the fence here and start talking some old school NFC football. All right, your pick. Who do we start with? We know what we're doing last, so who do you want to do first?
I would start with probably the NFC West. So like,
Oh, okay.
no, not the West,
Oh,
not the West, the
oh,
North,
all right.
the North.
The North. Okay.
North.
All right.
Yeah.
So on Friday's episode, we'll do the NFC North. I like that. I'm going to hit you with a couple of things before we get out of here. First thing, Team USA. What's your thoughts? Because we were here again, another vacation story. Nick and I were in our room. We were all kind of like hanging around, and all of a sudden, I look up and I see that the United States is down 13. And you know how I felt about the United States the whole tournament. So I see Nick. I'm like, "Yo, Nick, come here. Guess what's going on?" He's like, "What's up?" I'm like, "They're down 13." He's like, "What?" So we watched the end of the game together, and I'm still shocked that they won that game.
Yeah, I was shocked too. Jokic really struggled in that fourth quarter, and I think that was a big part of it. Because if he, did what he always does, they would have easily won that game. I think Embiid looked good down the stretch.
He did. That was his
LeBron
best
looked
game.
good too. Yeah, that was his best game.
I couldn't believe how good LeBron was through the whole tournament. I mean, he was their best player, and like, when is this guy ever going to stop? Like, I mean, it's just he's still going at a high level at a high age. It's amazing to me.
Yeah, he's really impressive at this point. I mean, there's nothing you can even say. He's 40 years old and he's still dominating the league. It's insane.
Did you watch any of the gold medal game?
I watched like the whole game actually. Yeah.
Okay. What'd you think?
So, LeBron again looked good, except the one time he got dunked on. It's all right.
He did get dunked on. He did. He did.
Overall, the team looked all right. I mean, it wasn't their best game, I don't think, of the whole tournament. But Curry, excellent. I mean, they needed that from him, and
unbelievable.
He was the reason they won.
Yeah, listen, that game got close a few times. Then all of a sudden, Steph Curry showed up, and when Steph Curry shows up, like he always does, night. Amazing.
That was a special performance.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you know what? Listen, good for them. You know what? Good for that whole crew. I mean, it's hard to root against America for obvious reasons, but I mean, I'm glad they won. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. Did you watch the women's game?
I didn't watch the women's game, but I know they won by 1 against France.
All right, so we were watching the game on the phone, and we watched the last possession, and they were down 3, and the girl hits the shot, and we're like, game's tied. And then you realize the girl's foot was on the line. I'm like, oh, Kevin Durant once again. That's terrible.
Oh, I did see that actually.
Yeah, her whole foot was on the line.
Yeah.
Nuts.
It's like the exact same moment as Durant.
Unbelievable. All right, brother. Listen, thank you as always. We'll catch you later in the week. Happy to be back. I'm refreshed. I know you are too. And we'll get back at it with the NFC North Friday. All right?
Yep. Glad to be back. See you.
All right. Later.
hear as we're back here on the All Around is the sound of the OTC, the original tribal chief, Roman Reigns. Well, you didn't think I was going to do a podcast and not talk about that, huh? Woo-wee! We got what we all wanted, everybody. The return of the tribal chief. The original tribal chief. I never thought I'd be sitting here talking to you guys, the All Around Army, doing a podcast, and sit here and actually say into a microphone that I think Roman Reigns may be the greatest professional wrestler of all time. And that's like not some hot takey stuff. Like, I'm not trying to do that. I'm not trying to create controversy here. Did you guys all see how everybody reacted when he showed up? Did you guys remember like 10 years ago when everybody hated him? You know, his own cousin tried to come out and help him. They rejected him. They didn't want him. They hated him. Stop shoving Roman Reigns down our throat. We don't like you. You know, and then, listen, let's be real about it. The guy comes out and says he had leukemia. People still didn't like him. He came back. You know, hey, everybody's happy to see you. You know, I'm glad you're okay. You're feeling great. You know, thank gosh you're beating, you know, you beat cancer. People still didn't like him. And then COVID hits. Okay. He decides that because of, you know, we all had no idea what it was and what was going to happen. He decides to step away, which was the right decision. We didn't know when he was coming back. Heck, we all still hated him. It's Roman Reigns, nobody cares. You know, hey, we feel bad you had leukemia, but you know what? You know, you're just the guy everybody wanted you to be the guy, right? Then he comes back. And then all of a sudden he has somebody with him. His name is Paul Heyman. And then you start to see the evolution of the tribal chief, the head of the table. Literally the Samoan Tony Soprano. What this man has done with his character and how he portrays himself and everything that was intertwined with it. As you remember, in the very, very beginning of all this, you know, during COVID times, he had a Hell in a Cell match with Jey Uso. And then all of a sudden Jimmy was there because Jimmy was coming off a knee injury and there was a lot of emotion there. And then all of a sudden they all got on the same page and formed what we know as the Bloodline. And that story took off once the crowd started coming back. And then everybody started really seeing the seeds of this evil, menacing, you know, champion. And to have a guy like Paul Heyman as his right hand, you know, I don't want to call him right hand man because that's what Jey Uso used, but just the guy that was more or less kind of how, you know, Tony Soprano had Silvio Dante. So whatever that is, I can't say the word. That was what Paul Heyman is to Roman Reigns. And then he goes on this crazy run of being a champion. Something we haven't seen since Hulk Hogan. The last time somebody had a run like this was Hulk Hogan. Do we understand what that means? The mid-'80s, rock and wrestling. The debut of the WWF, WrestleMania. You know, the guy was larger than life. He was a cartoon character. He was a superhero. He held the title for darn near close to 4 or 5 years, Hulk Hogan did. Until he finally lost it, you know, in the way he lost it to Andre. And then they had the tournament, and then all that fun stuff happened. And then, again, my guy, oh yeah, the Macho Man ends up winning the tournament at WrestleMania 4, and then we go on, and the rest is history. Roman Reigns held the title for almost 4 years. 1,000, plus days. Think about that. WrestleMania, after WrestleMania, after WrestleMania, as, our beloved Final Boss once said. That's hard to do in this day and age, guys. And then for him to lose it in the fashion which he did to Cody Rhodes, okay? Which we all, again, going back to the last podcast, we were happy about. Hey, he finished the story great. But we all knew that he was going to go away for a while, Roman. And I think what the WWE did, which was so outstanding, was they built Solo Sikoa into what they built him into. and now added the pieces, the Jacob Fatus and the Tamatongas and the Tongaloas and the new version of the bloodline, and having that kind of portray itself and get to where it needed to be to have the return we had. And then to watch that man that, again, we all hated. Remember, we all hated him. To show up when he showed up and to hear that crowd respond the way that they did, there is no doubt in my mind that man is the greatest wrestler of all time. How can you have somebody change your mind the way Roman Reigns has changed your mind? Think about that. It's unbelievably well done. Kudos to you, Roman Reigns. Kudos to you. Hey, man, SummerSlam was an awesome show. I got to kind of watch little bits and highlights and everything with the boys. It was so much. It was cool. All the stuff that they did. I love what they did with the Balor turn. I love the thing they did with Dominic. I said this to my son last night. Dominic's gonna be a world champion one day. I'm telling you right now, that dude has legitimate heat. People hate him. And when people hate you, they will pay money to see you get beat up. That's wrestling, guys. That's wrestling. Dominic's gonna be a world champion. Just give it some time. Give it about another year. He'll be a world champion. So yeah, SummerSlam was great, man. And then we had the Olympics. My wife and I were locked into the Olympics every single night. Every single night we were locked into the Olympics, whether it was the gymnastics, the track and field. My favorite was the diving. I love the diving. I do. I love the diving. I don't know why. Maybe because I'm just, jealous. I used to like diving back in the day when I was a kid. Can't do it no more. I don't know how these people can do all these twists and turns and then go into the water and not make a splash. That's amazing to me. We were kids. All we wanted to do was make splashes. Now people are going in without a splash. It's unreal. You had all the track and field stuff, which was really, really cool to watch. I was very into the track and field. I was also very into the swimming. I love the swimming. The swimming was great. Some of the niche sports I didn't watch. I know that whole breakdancing thing is gone. Whatever. I was a big fan of the skateboarding. I liked that. I was watching that. The speed climbing. I don't know if anybody saw the speed climbing. Let me tell you something. That's a skill. How do you do that? How do you just climb up a wall in 6 seconds? That's some cat stuff. I can't do that. Look like two squirrels going up a ramp. It's amazing. All the Olympics was great. Even the closing ceremonies I thought were good. Who doesn't love Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre? You guys know I love Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre. La da 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 da. You guys know it. All right, so want to make an announcement right here on the podcast. Coming up on Friday's show, we have a very special guest. Somebody that I never thought I'd talk to, let alone have him on the show. And it's not what you think. He is a midday sports talk show host, but not from New York, guys. From Philadelphia. That's right. Philadelphia. Joe Giglio joins the show on Friday. That's right. The host of the midday show with him, Joe Giglio, and Hugh Douglas, former Eagle, former New York Jet. He'll be on the show, guys. Joe Giglio, Friday's show. Joe Giglio. And then Nick and I, we're going to start, I keep going our previews. We're going to do the NFC. I believe we are going to do the North. I know we had discussed that on the show, so we're going to do the NFC North, and we'll, kind of just keep going what we're doing, and then we'll kind of lead up to our prediction show, and then we're going to have, again, like you see, we do the fantasy, kind of incorporate all that stuff in between as well, and just, have a ball with it. Before we get out of here, let me hit our sponsors one more time. Jump Shot Gym, a one-of-a-kind training basketball facility located in beautiful Hillsborough, New Jersey, with 8 hoops and the Dr. Dish shooting machines. Get the consistent reps you need to build that consistent jump shot. Visit jumpshotgym.com for information on shooting clinics, camps, and parties. One more time, jumpshotgym.com. Also, Brazina Home Improvements. If you're looking for any general contracting or repair need for your home and your business, contact Brazina Home Improvements at 609-581-5848. Once again, 609-581-5848. Please contact them for any of your contracting needs. Also, if you want to advertise, you want to sponsor the show, please contact me, jm14productions at gmail.com. Once again, jm14productions at gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram at jm14 all around pod, jm14 all around pod. All right, everybody, we'll see everybody on Friday. Again, Joe Giglio joins the show. What is going on? That's amazing. Talk to you soon.